Hello. So, imagine facing obstacles that shake you to your core. Moments that make you question everything only to emerge stronger, more empowered, and entirely transformed. Guys, this month is about the power of transformation, personal evolution. So, if you're ready to unlock a new perspective on growth and change, stay tuned. Dun, dun, dun. Welcome to Hello Vibes Meet Elevation Podcast. And this is Thought Provoking Talk with Crystal, where we dig into the deep, the daring, and the sometimes uncomfortable truths that keeps us growing and evolving. Each episode, I'm here to shake up what you think you know, challenge your perspective, and open the door to conversations that don't always come up in our everyday to day talk. Are you ready to stretch your mind and elevate yourself? Let's get into it and see where today's thought-provoking journey takes us. Today, guys, we are diving deep into the theme of transformation with a very special guest, Michaelyn Pruitt. Can we get a yay?
Woo woo!
All right, guys. So Michaelyn is a talented professional astrologer, and she and I connected through our shared love for the stars and the mysteries that they hold. Woo. Our journey together began with courses, and it grew into a collaborative group of astrologers working side by side. So, if you are in any way curious to learn more about her work and the incredible insights astrology can offer, you definitely want to check out the Modern Astrology channel on YouTube. And a big shout out to Damien, the professor who started it all. And I've had the privilege of being both part of these projects myself, and the learning is endless. But today, guys, Michaelyn isn't here to talk about astrology. She's here to share her personal journey of transformation. Her story is one of the resilient and empowerment, and I know it will resonate with some of you. So let's dive in and welcome Michaelyn to the show.
Oh, thank you, Crystal. Hi, thank you. Thank you for that warm welcome. I am Michaelyn Pruitt, and I am thrilled to be here on the Hello Vibes Meets Elevation podcast.
We're happy to have you.
I will tell you that my fascination with the mystical began very early. As soon as I could read, I was drawn to horoscopes. My dad would get the newspaper every day, and every day I would get the horoscope section. I would read my horoscope, I would read my dad's horoscope, my brother's horoscope, all my friends' horoscopes. If any magazine I could get my hands on, I was reading the horoscopes. I also really liked tarot. I didn't really have a lot of experience with tarot when I was very young. But I was that kid that was organizing the seances. We had a Ouija board, all that good stuff. I was also always diving into the unknown and exploring what would eventually become a lifelong passion.
Okay.
But today I would like to take this opportunity just to express my gratitude for some of the people that have made this journey not only possible, but fulfilling. First, I would like to thank my husband, whose love and support gives me the strength to pursue my passion for astrology. I'm also deeply grateful to Damien McKinnon, my mentor, astrology teacher, business partner, and friend. Damien has inspired me to step out and be seen, and I owe him a lot for that. And to my modern astrology community, the one that you just mentioned, you guys all mean the world to me. The friends that I've made through this journey have been a constant source of support and inspiration. This community that we've built together lifts me up every day. You all help me see the value in the work we're doing, and you keep me energized and inspired. I am truly blessed to be surrounded by such an incredible network. And Crystal, you are one of the people I'm talking about, girl. I mean,
Thank
you
you
have
so much.
inspired me with your work. Like I say, I wear my jewelry every day that I got from you, and I always have. I mean, I can always feel that positive energy. Just come. I mean, just by wearing the jewelry, it reminds me of the connections that I have with all of you guys and what we're doing here. You know. So,
Great.
like I said, I'm super stoked to be here, and let's get into it. What's your first question?
All right. Well, thank you. That was one hell of an introduction, and I loved it. Okay. All right, Miss Michaelyn. So today we want to talk about your personal journey through transformation. Now, guys, if you haven't witnessed it yet or listened yet, I shared my story of personal transformation. I figured it was only fair to share my story first, be open and transparent before I ask somebody else to. So today, Michaelyn, we just want to ask you, what is your story of transformation? If you can just share that with us, like whether you found empowerment or if you're still struggling with life challenges, what do you feel like one of your biggest points of transformation was?
Okay, so I spent most of my life like we were talking about earlier. This is Scorpio season, and so we're talking about Scorpio themes. And I was raised by a Scorpio man. My mom left when I was real little. So basically, it was my dad, my brother, and I. My brother was a Taurus, and I was a very rebellious young person. I was a very rebellious teenager. My dad actually remarried when I was 14, so that she was a Pisces, and things kind of changed, but really I just got more rebellious. I didn't like being told what to do or how to do it. Before she came along, it was pretty much, I ruled the roost because, like I said, I was the only female and I pretty much took care of my brother. So anyway, let's see. How can I expand on that without getting too much into the trauma? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I guess I learned at an early age that I had to hold myself accountable. One thing that I do know about myself because of that situation is I've always been on the search for unconditional love. Like I felt like I was like, you know what? One day I'm going to find somebody that's going to love me, and we're going to have the great family and the dog and the fence and all that. So that's what I was looking for. I found that a couple of times. It didn't work out. The person that I chose to marry when I was younger just wasn't the right person. But I don't regret any of it because I have two beautiful children. But it was very rough. We went through there was a lot of abuse. There was domestic violence. Gosh, he tried to kill me. There was a lot. And that was my younger years. Throughout all that, I attended dental hygiene school, got my dental hygiene license, and I became a dental hygienist. So basically, after I got my dental hygiene license, I set up pretty well. I could take care of myself, so I divorced him. You know what I mean? I was out of there. And that's kind of how I've always been. Even when I was younger, when I was 16, I ran away from home. Me and my best friend, I had enough. My dad put me on restriction for the rest of my life. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to do that. So, that ended up, she and I took off. We jumped on a Greyhound at age 16 and went down to Panama City for a week. And that was a fun adventure, and it's a miracle, we made it back alive. But, obviously I'm here for a reason because I have had several near-death experiences. So transformation, realizing that it took me a long time to realize that unconditional love really isn't a thing, okay? I've learned that. What we have to learn is how to love ourselves. So if we learn how to love ourselves, then the love that we receive from other people is the closest thing that you can get to unconditional love here on earth, in my opinion. And that's what I had to do. I had to learn that, I could make it on my own. I didn't need a husband or the dog or the fence or any of the stuff that I grew up thinking that I was supposed to do. You know what I mean? Now, let me be clear. I have a husband now, and he's the right one. We've been married for 4 years. We've been together for 8 years, and he's great. He's a Sagittarius, so that works really well with my air because I'm a Aquarius sun, Libra rising, and Libra moon. So I've got a lot of air in my chart. So basically, just my lesson, what I've learned so far, I'll be 50 in January, is that what you expect out of others is what you should give for yourself. In other words, treat other people the way you want to be treated. And through astrology, I learned my default settings, Crystal. I learned how I communicate. So I have Mercury in my 4th house in Aquarius sitting over there with my sun. And I've got Uranus in my 1st house sitting on 2 degrees of Scorpio. And then I've got Pluto and the moon in the 12th house. So, there's a lot of, it's challenging. The Scorpio and the Aquarius kind of butting heads, if you will, wanting to be private and keep my business to myself, but also needing to, you can't keep all that stuff inside. So that's something I've struggled with is really keeping a balance. Even though I've got all that Libra energy, that Scorpio energy comes in and tells me to, hey, shh, keep it quiet. Let's keep things to yourself. I've had a lot of, like I said, I've had a lot of ups and downs in lives, a lot of obstacles. But they say you can only understand life if you live it backwards. Kind of like, I don't know if you've ever seen Benjamin Button or whatever
Yes,
that
I
movie
have.
is.
Yeah.
But it's true. Now that I'm older, I can look at where I am now and what it's taken for me to get here, and I understand, the reason why this didn't work out or the reason why this didn't work out, and I'm grateful for that. So, yeah.
Okay, well, first I want to start off by saying you look hella good for 50, girl. Okay? For pushing 50. You look good, all right? Let's just get that on out the way.
Thanks,
Okay?
girl.
Seriously. Um, I
I
mean,
don't
I'm
know
put,
how. I've had a rough life.
you don't look like it. You really don't.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was like, okay, 50. Um, well, so what I would, so basically, do you think that your biggest obstacle has been understanding what love is and how to be loved and the type of love to give? Yeah, that's what I took from what you were saying.
Absolutely.
So a lot of times, like
Absolutely. Yeah.
in my other episodes, I was a few of my episodes I always go back to childhood, and I always say and I stress that the way you love and you give love and receive love is based off of your childhood environment. It's what you see, it's what you think love is supposed to be. So when one parent is absent, or both parents are there but they're not there, you know what I mean? That right there is set the foundation for what you put up with in the beginning. Because like you, I got married at a young age. I got married at 21. And the things that I accepted was crazy based off of how I seen things growing up. You know what I mean? And then you get to an age where
What you
you
thought
start
was
to be,
normal. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah. And then you get to an age where you start to be accountable. You start to realize, okay, this ain't it. This ain't how I need to be loved. This ain't how I want to be loved. How do I change this? And then you start, like you said, you start to understand things from a different perspective. You know what I mean? Everybody don't get to make it there. But the ones that do, it is a very empowering thing. And I learned myself through astrology as well. I mean, when I tell you, in 2015, I had an awakening, and I started with a self-analysis. I started to understand myself, accept my dark side, my light side, and let go of things that didn't align with me. And it was a whole journey, especially when I went through the dark night of the soul, and it was horrible for a year. It was horrible. I couldn't do anything. No matter what I tried to do, I tried to go get a job. I get hired on a job, and they'd be like, "Oh, well, you don't." I'm like, "What the hell is going on?" So I eventually started to understand my failed relationships in the way that I started to receive love, and I started to take my part in it. I started to take accountability. And even if I did everything right, the thing I did wrong would stay. A person can't mistreat you if you ain't there. You know what I mean? So I realized I
Right.
wasn't loving myself, so how was I expecting somebody else to love me? So yeah, I get that. Ooh, that's
Yeah, well,
powerful.
that's exactly what happened to me, and basically, just like you said, 2015, mine happened in 2012. I had just a life breakdown. I mean, oh my gosh, I had a terrible experience. I don't even want to get into it. It was just something I don't even want to relive. But long story short, I decided that I would pack what little that I had, and I had a car and I had $3,000, and I moved to Mississippi. I moved to the state because I grew up in Alabama, so I moved over to the next state, and I basically started over. I That's when I spent all that time by myself. I didn't go out. I didn't, I found a job at a dental office with some really great people. I found a church that I really enjoyed going to. It was a non-denominational church. It was very inspiring. And I took that time when I lived over there just to figure out who I was. You know what I mean? Because the failed relationships that I had, I mean, the last thing I wanted to do was get into another relationship. Let me just say that.
Facts.
I was over there by myself, trying to figure out who Michaelyn was and what I was going to do, with the rest of my
Facts.
life. And that time really played a huge role in who I am now, because it did help me realize that I got this. I don't need anybody to. I can love myself, and to be clear, nobody could love me until I love myself.
That's
And
right.
I'm not saying I was the toxic one, but I am
Yeah,
saying that I played a part. You know what I mean?
exactly.
I mean, we
Absolutely.
like attracts
Absolutely.
like. So that
Yeah,
was a
and there
hard
you go.
realization,
There you go.
big
And
time.
sometimes it
So
simply
when I
comes
fixed
from.
myself,
Sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, 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 go ahead, go ahead. You broke up a little bit. I couldn't hear you.
Oh no, I was just agreeing with you. I was just saying, yeah, like you might not be the toxic one, but that energy that you put out, it attract that shit into your life. If you're broken and if you're trying to
Yeah.
date somebody from a broken space, you're gonna invite that broken energy into your life. Whether you just looking for love or not, but you're looking for love from a place of hurt. So like,
Hmm.
and I know I don't want to get too deep, and tell me if this is going too far. Do you realize? Do you remember what your turning point was? Like when you finally decided to say, "Fuck this, I'ma love myself. I'm out of here." If it's too much, you don't
Yeah.
have to get into it.
So yeah. Like in 2012, like I said, I was in a marriage that I shouldn't have been in. There was no love in that marriage. It was basically a financial agreement. It was a friend of mine. We've been friends since we were teenagers. Great
Mm-hmm.
guy. He was a police officer. I can't say anything bad about him. I mean, he was an alcoholic, which,
Mm-hmm.
you know, apparently, like I said,
Mm-hmm.
I can't say anything bad about him other than, he wasn't a very good husband. But he was a good provider, and
Oh my gosh, our
it
stories are
just
so.
wasn't what I just knew that that's not where I wanted to be for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? Like his ideas about marriage and my ideas about marriage were two different things,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean that should have been obvious in the beginning, but I just didn't think it all the way through. It sounded like a good idea at the time.
Mm-hmm.
When we
Mm-hmm.
think back, we're like, what was I thinking?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so things didn't work out with him. Like I said, he was an alcoholic, which just really made it where we couldn't get along in the end.
Mm-hmm.
So I filed for divorce and left everything behind. Because he was a police officer and because it was kind of a small town, you know, everybody knew our business, everybody
Mm-hmm.
knew everything. And so I decided, I didn't want those friends anymore because, when you're married, you have the same friends, you have the same,
Mm-hmm.
you do the same.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided that wasn't where I wanted to be anymore. That didn't align with who I was trying to be or what I was trying to do in this life. And so I just, like I said, that Scorpio is pretty strong in my chart, and I'm very independent and very, I hate to say rebellious, but
Mm-hmm.
that word just keeps coming up because I don't like to be confined, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
like, if I'm unhappy, I'm out of there.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, I could either stay where I was at and stay comfortable and, nice house, brand new car, everything that I thought that I wanted, but there was no love. And I mean,
Mm-hmm.
none. I mean, but he was good to my kids. He was good to me, but there was no love. And I got to the point. I'll tell you what happened. I was coming home from work one day. It was almost Christmas,
Mm-hmm.
and coming down this road. It was a 45-mile-an-hour road, and I was going kind of slow. It was kind of drizzling a little bit. And this man in this wheelchair, the kind that you drive, he was coming across the street. And as he was coming across the street, a Dodge Ram came and hit him. And I mean, hit him doing about 50. And he flew up in the air, and he landed literally right next to my door. I opened my door, and I had to step over him. It
Wow.
shook me. I mean, shook me. And at that point, I was like, and I mean, he was dead. You know what I mean? I mean, it's
What?
hard to even talk about, but yeah, it was pretty traumatic. And so this all happened, and it happened so fast. And the guy that hit him was completely just spaced out. I mean, he couldn't believe what had happened. I mean, but it was just in an instant, Crystal. I mean, it happened so quickly, but it shifted something in me just to the
Yeah.
point where I was like, because after it happened,
Life is
they
too
were like, "Are you
short.
okay?" They put him in the ambulance, and I mean, I had just left work, so I had a 45-minute drive to get home to process all of this, and I get home, and they call me and they're like, "Yeah, we just want to let you know he didn't make it," and I was like, "Oh my
Mm.
gosh." And that right there, I mean, it occurred to me. I was like, "Holy shit! What am I doing?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm wasting my life.
Mm-hmm. Being
Just
comfortable.
getting up and going to work and coming
Mm-hmm.
home and cooking dinner and
That's
what
right.
for what?
That's
I
right.
mean, I was helping people. I was a dental hygienist. I mean, I had my patients and I was counseling people every day, just like hairstylists. That's what we do. Um, and I mean, I was happy with that part, but everything else was out of alignment. And I knew that something had to change. And the response that he had based on what I was expecting, the response that I was expecting was not the response that I got, which made it even worse. Like it was kind of like, oh, you're fine. Is that not, just forget it? I was like, what? I can't just forget that. So so that kind of just, it's like I said, it shifted something, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. So pretty much, I I basically just filed for divorce and left. And I didn't move over to the next state initially. Initially, I stayed where I was at, stayed in my job, and then it just got to where, like I said, people that you thought were your friends, they're not. One of those situations where you just feel alone and abandoned, and like I said, he was a cop, and so it was a small town. So I was just like, you know what, screw it. I can and I will
There you
start
go.
over from this. I'm not gonna be the guy, in the wheelchair laying on the side
That's
of the
right.
road.
Yeah.
You know what I
I
mean?
understand.
So I did, and when I moved over there, I had a friend actually that lived there, and she's like, you should move over here. She's like, I have a relative who has an apartment. It was like a little duplex actually, and she's like, and I'll talk to him. And so she did, and I talked to him, and he actually, Crystal, he rented me this apartment for $300 a month. This was in
Awesome.
2012, which is
That's awesome.
amazing. That's
Yes,
only
that's
been a few
awesome.
years ago. Well,
Yeah.
14, but whatever. But I just had to go in and fix it up and paint it and all that good stuff. And so from there, next door, my neighbor was an elderly man. He was 83. We ended up being best friends until the day he died. When he died, I was actually on the phone with him. I heard him take his last breath. He was one of my best friends in the world.
Aw.
But and then next door was the actual library, the town
Uh-huh.
library.
Uh-huh.
So I moved over there. I'm looking for, don't have a computer or anything, so I go over to the library, and the lady there is just like an angel. I mean, she's it was just so, everything fell right into place, and she counseled me, and she helped me get my resume together, and she encouraged me. I got an interview, and she encouraged me, and I went and I got the job. And I mean, that was the start of me taking back my power,
Good.
and realizing that I was responsible for my feelings. I felt a certain way about what happened that day, but I was the only one that felt that way, and I didn't like that feeling. I wanted somebody, if I was going to be in a relationship with somebody, it was going to be somebody that supported me. And if I have a bad day, I mean, at least act like you care.
That's right.
I
That's
mean,
right. Right.
so that was a huge turning point in my life. And that time, I met my current husband in 2016, and so I had, see, what was that, like 4 years? Yeah, 4 years to get my shit together, basically, and to heal myself, and to realize that I am somebody, and I have something to say, and I can make a difference. And yeah, so ever since that happened, and ever since I was able to go and make my way, and all the people that along the way, I mean, I'm telling you, I've had angels with me the whole way. I mean, in the form of people.
That's right.
I can't tell you how blessed I've been, and I mean that
I hear it.
with my whole soul. I mean,
I can
you
hear it.
guys in our community that we've created is a perfect example of how everything just, when you're when you're living right, and when you're doing right, and when you keep your frequency high, and you're genuine, and you're things fall into alignment.
That's
And it
right.
took me a long time to figure that one out. I always knew karma was a bitch, and
Yeah,
that's
right.
always, that was my saying, what comes around goes around, my
Yeah.
whole life, but I never really understood it
Yeah.
until
Yeah. Yeah.
2012.
Yeah. That happens a
But yeah,
lot.
so yeah, in 2012 I moved away. I found myself. I figured out, that I could do it. I didn't need anybody. I could be miserable all by myself. But I didn't want to be miserable. I wanted to fix myself so that if I did ever meet somebody again, I could be the best version of myself. And that's what happened. Like I said, I met my husband. He had two small children, twin boys. They're
Okay.
They were 9 at the time. So in addition to my children, I gained 2 more amazing children. They're 17 now, almost 18.
Awesome.
And yeah, it's all because I decided one day, and I mean just like that, I decided that I had had enough and I was going to take my power back. Period. That's all it was. And then, like I said, with astrology, I was able to actually have something tangible that I could look at, that I could see that maybe this is why this is happening, and this is why this is happening, and this is who I am, and these are my default settings. And so once I learned my default settings, I'm able to respond based on how I should respond in certain situations. You know what I mean? Instead of blowing up or taking things personally. I found the 4 Agreements a few years back, and that was also life changing. If you haven't read the 4 Agreements, I highly recommend the 4 Agreements.
I'll definitely check that
Yeah,
out.
so that's a good one. It'll change your life. But yeah, so that was it. That was a big turning point, and it basically has led me to where I am today and given me this opportunity to sit here with you and all the opportunities that we've had, to guide people and help people and use our astrology and tarot to counsel people. And that's what I want to do. I want to take my life experiences and I want to couple that with my knowledge of astrology, tarot, numerology, and all that good stuff and counsel people, because I think people are just disconnected. And, we just don't... there's a reason why we act the way that we act, but until we know what that reason is, we can't work with it. So I think astrology gives us that roadmap. I mean, it's like, it's right there. It's our instruction manual for life.
I hear you. And I'm so glad that you're talking about astrology and empowerment, because I stress that astrology is such a empowering tool for self-growth. And a lot of people don't understand that. Like, I understood myself more when I really looked at my chart and said, wow. And then it helped me to understand other people, and I understand that other people might not understand me, but I understand them, so I'm able to deal with other people. But to hear you say that is great, because look, this probably ain't the right time to be asking this or even bringing it up, but I wouldn't be me if I didn't. When I start the House of Resilience Empowerment Coaching next year, I really need some coaches, and astrology is going to be part of it too. Where and if you're just interested even in doing the astrology part, it's going to be sessions available where you can coach them through astrology, like do their chart for them, and then have a whole coaching session with them based off of their challenges and stuff like that into the chart. I'm realizing, like, it was something you said about the frequency and the energy, and then attracting those people that's on the same frequency as you. And the more we talk, the more I realize we got a lot in common. Man, we've been through a lot of the same stuff, really.
More than you know.
Oh my gosh. So we need to, once we get off of here, if you get some time, I would really like to talk about it. And I always stress, like, when I come up with an idea to start something and I'm inviting somebody in, it's not just all me. It becomes a us thing. It becomes your ideas is just as important as mine. We come together. So that might be something you want to think about, starting this coaching practice, because I really need some like-minded individuals on the same page as me to actually get this going. I got a nice little outline, and also the whole goal is to have a halfway house, the House of Resilience. I got the blueprint for that. I've been working on that for years. Now it's just about making connections and networking and stuff like that. But it's also going to be a session for felons, where the felons can, people that's just coming out of jail, it's offering free sessions and getting them sponsored. It's a whole idea behind it. And I will definitely send you the blueprint and tell me what you think about it, and if you're interested in joining me, and we can collab and come together. But other than that, I had to throw that out there because I won't forget. Just because you said, I'm like, wow, she's saying the same thing, even all the way down to the marriage, like the drinking and all that. It's like, wow, her story sounds like mine. The only difference is we was both alcoholics, me and him both. But I believe that he
There's
did
way
that.
more to this story, Crystal. I've lived.
I
Let me
know.
tell you, I was trying to count earlier how many lives I've lived,
Uh-huh.
and I think I've settled on 9 different lives. You know what I mean? Like from the time I was little to where I
Hmm.
am now.
Hmm.
Seriously. Yeah. So
So,
there's a lot that you and I can talk about off air that will
okay,
relate to what we were just speaking about, which
gotcha.
I'm very interested. Like I said, I'm here to help. That's what my purpose is. I want to help as many people,
Hmm.
just like you. I want to help
Hmm.
as many people as possible.
Hmm.
Learn how to communicate. Learn
Hmm.
how to, um, take their power back.
Hmm.
Men, women.
Hmm.
I'm not just talking about us women. Men too.
It's,
Men.
yeah, exactly.
Damien taught us. Damien's taught us that men are. There's just as many men in this field as there are women, and
It
so
sure is.
yeah,
It's more, if not
that's what I want to
more.
do. And the counseling, the
Yeah,
coaching part,
yeah.
that's something I've already thought about integrating because,
Oh my gosh, that'd be
when you look at
awesome.
the natal chart, oh, it would be awesome. And I actually took a course on
Me
this.
too.
I can't remember what it was called. I think it's called Tarot. What was her name? Elmira Strange, I think, is the lady
Mm-hmm.
whose course I took.
Mm-hmm.
She's really cool. But yeah, so of course I've taken all of Damien's courses.
Yeah,
I
yeah. Well, I got like three
got
tarot
certificate.
courses, all a bunch of astrology courses, numerology courses, certifications in numerology, coaching. I just went crazy. Okay, I went crazy. I'm gonna give
Yes,
somebody something.
yes.
Okay, you don't want this? I'm gonna give you this. You don't want it here. I'm gonna give you, have this, have this, have this. It
We're
don't
gonna
matter to me.
help you one way or
Yeah, it
another.
don't matter how you get it, as long as you get it.
We're
Absolutely.
gonna get it for you. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, totally. And that's what I want to do too. And just like Damien does, I want. It's the client. So we've got our set of skills, and mine. I focus on natal charts.
Mhm.
We know how to look at transits and so forth. But
Mhm.
the natal chart's very important when you are trying
Mhm.
to sit down with somebody and counsel them
Mhm.
because you
That's
know
right.
how they're going to react because we've
That's
got
right.
their default settings.
That's right.
So counseling and coaching coupled with astrology is
It's the
definitely
bomb.
something that I'm working towards because I don't think that one session's enough, Crystal. We do
Yeah.
every month we do a chart reading group, and we've been doing that now consistently for
Mhm.
over a year. I think we started doing it maybe, I don't know, last June or July.
Mhm.
Damien and I started collaborating in February,
Mhm.
but before that, like I said, we've been doing the chart reading groups,
Mhm. Mhm.
and we always tell them, hey, in a year or 6 months, if you want to come back and let's revisit this and see where you're at. But in reality, we really do need to do that because
Yeah. Turn it
we've
into a whole
we've
coaching
we've
session.
created a foundation and
Mhm.
Heck yeah. I mean, and we can
Mhm.
help people more because, I mean, we do help people a lot by doing the natal chart and giving them the
Mhm.
answers, and telling them what their default settings are. But
Mhm.
we should be able to go further and
Mhm.
help them
Mhm.
evolve, kind of like we've
Mhm.
evolved. But,
Mhm.
we've
Absolutely.
taken it upon ourselves to learn all this and we
Yes.
basically learned our charts so that we can help other
Help
people.
somebody.
But
There
now
you
we
go.
can, and we've got those
Mhm.
tools.
Mhm.
Yeah, totally. And
I,
that's what I want to do. And, Damien and you guys and Sandra
mhm.
and I mean all of y'all
The whole group. Yeah.
Antoinette and
Yeah.
Gianna and Michelle
Mhm.
and gosh, I know I'm probably leaving somebody out, but the regulars, Megan,
Mhm.
she's another good one. We all work so well together, and we come
Absolutely.
together. And Adrian's another one. I mean, we've created such an amazing community of astrologers and tarot readers and intuitive people that have
Mhm.
good intentions. You know what I mean? Um,
Mhm.
and yeah, we've really got something special here. And so
I
that's my
agree.
goal is to get it out there and help people
I agree.
and whatever we have to do. We've got that divine registry now where people can come find us, and we're uh,
That's
we're
right. I forgot to
we're
introduce that at
we're
the
we're
beginning.
getting that
Um,
up and running.
yeah,
We're
I
gonna
forgot
have
to
that up.
introduce that at the beginning. So, I'm going to send you the blueprint of what I got. But can you do me a favor? Can you tell everybody a little bit about the Divine Registry? Because I forgot to introduce that.
Yeah. So the Divine Registry is a project that Damien and I started. It's basically, do you remember back in the old days when we had the phone book? You remember the phone
Mhm.
book? And if
Mhm.
you wanted to find somebody, you had the white pages and the yellow pages.
Mhm.
So it's along the same lines as like a phone book
Mhm.
if you're Generation X, if you're one of us.
Mhm.
a directory, if you will. But you basically, it's for people seeking tarot readers or astrology readers, or we're going to expand it. It's in its infancy right now, and it's also for you and I and other readers. It's a central hub basically where you can go in and you can search, and we've got a map where it shows where everybody's at. You can search what kind of reader you want. Whoever is on. So for example, I've got my I'm on there. So if you click into mine, you can go and you can find my website. You can also see, there's a description of what I do, my price list. It's good. It's really good if you do. The top tier is the best, obviously, but that one makes it where you can collaborate with others, which is kind of what we're doing now. But it also helps us find each other. So other spiritual leaders or influencers or whatever you want to call us. It's kind of, like I said, a central hub. It's like the yellow pages for astrology, tarot, and again, we're going to expand it into Reiki and yoga and all that good stuff. But right now, that's where we're at. So
when is it set to
again,
launch?
we're gonna do a soft launch on November the 18th, and then we're planning on putting it all the way out there right now on November the 30th. So
Y'all hear it?
we're in the
ladies
beta
and
stage right
gentlemen?
now, which basically the beta stage, we're just testing it. Everybody's going in and doing their listing, and we're making sure there are no bugs and all that good stuff before we put it out there to the public. So yeah, but it's super awesome. And like I said, you go in and there is a charge, but it's totally worth it. And if you have your own website and all of your social media platforms and all that good stuff, you just plug it right into the Divine Registry, and whoever's looking for you can find you. So for example, if I Google Crystal Jackson right now, since you're on the Divine Registry, it's going to pull up Crystal Jackson under the Divine Registry, and your About Me, that's what people are going to see. So if people are looking for Crystal Jackson, all they got to do is Google you, and it's going to take them right to the Divine Registry, which is going to take them right to you, which is going to take them right to your website and all of your websites, as a matter of fact. And if they would need to get in touch with you, there's a way to message you, all that good stuff. So yeah, I'm super excited about it. It's going to be pretty awesome.
So what if I was an astrologer and I wanted to get on a Divine Registry? How would that work?
So if you were an astrologer and you wanted to join us on the Divine Registry, you would just, go to divineregistry.com and create an account, and then you would go in. We've got a 14-day free trial with a $1 sign up. And after, so if you were an astrologer, like I said, there's 3 different tiers. We've got the amateur, the practitioner, and the professional. The professional obviously is the best one. That's the one where you can collaborate. But you would just go in and pick which one you wanted. To reiterate, there's a 14-day free trial, so I would suggest everybody try the professional one first. And then you just go in and you fill out your information. It's very easy. It's very intuitive. It's not hard. It's pretty self-explanatory. If you have any problems, we do have a YouTube video on our YouTube channel, Modern Astrology, that kind of goes through the process of signing up. There's also a Facebook page, thedivineregistry.com. It's kind of still under construction, but yeah, the YouTube channel that we've got, Modern Astrology, you can totally go there and watch. Damien did a great video where he goes through and step by step shows you how to sign up and get your information in there.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, y'all hear it. You're an astrologist. I'm an astrologer, tarot reader. It will be launching November the 30th, and if you're looking for a reading, you can find us there. We'll both be there, and Damien and all the whole group will be there. So come check us out.
Yeah.
So Michaelyn, if there was any advice you could give somebody based off of this powerful, transformative story, what advice would you give?
Let me see. So what advice would I give? Oh gosh, I guess the advice that I would give would be that the only thing in life that is for sure is change. You know what I mean? So everything is always constantly changing. if you, so if you feel like you're struggling or you feel like, things aren't going to get better, I just want you to hang in there because they are. I promise you. Look, if I'm still here, if I could do it, you could do it. It's just a matter of believing and staying true to yourself and loving yourself and love yourself like you're your child. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And if you do that, take care of yourself like you're taking care of your own child. And be genuine, and what you put out into the world will come back to you. You know,
that's right.
that's what I found when in the past when I've been done shady shit. It came back to me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not kidding, and I never ever did something shady and didn't have it come back on me. I mean, period. So that's just be true to who you are and be a good person and treat people the way you want to be treated, and don't take things personally. You know what I mean? Don't assume. And another big piece of advice I'd like to give everybody is learn how to communicate. You know what I mean? Like, people can't read your mind. That goes back to the don't take things personally. It's okay we're grown-ups. It's okay to sit down and be like, hey, you really hurt my feelings, or you said something to piss me off, or why aren't you, and ask the questions and communicate. A big part of what I do and what makes this work is communication. And Lord, I've had to learn, because I haven't always been the best communicator, because I don't want to listen. I want to do it my way. I don't really care what somebody else has to say, my way or the highway. So I've had to learn that that's not how life works. And, astrology has taught me that not everybody thinks the same way I do. We are all wired differently, and I have proof and evidence of that because I have birth charts. You can look at these birth charts and you can see the difference. And that's why when you go people watch, you see different people, everybody's different. It's because we're all wired differently. So keep that in mind. And when you're dealing with people, keep in mind everybody's going through something.
Right.
Just our job here on planet Earth is to raise the vibration and to we're trying to bring awareness and bring happiness and positivity. To hell with all that lower vibration shit.
That's right.
Everything that's going on in the world today, to hell with that. That is not what we're supposed to be focusing on. We're supposed to be focusing on lifting each other up.
That's right.
And that a big part of that is communication. So, to answer your question, I would say learn how to communicate. Learn what your Mercury sign is. Learn where your sun is in your astrology chart. Learn, if whoever you're trying to communicate with, if you can get their birth information, hell, look at their Mercury sign. Where their Mercury is how you're going to need to learn how to communicate with them.
That's right.
So learn how to communicate and learn astrology. Or call me or Crystal or one of us, and we'll help you.
Absolutely.
We'll counsel and coach you. We'll coach you all the way through it.
That's right. Well, I completely agree. Guys, this is Michaelyn Pruitt, and she has shared her story, and she has spoken, and I hope that everyone hears her. Communications. Yes, that is one of the biggest issues. A miscommunication is one of the biggest issues. I also have an episode on that too.
Miscommunication, that's exactly right.
I have an episode on that, and it's talking about how you could communicate something with someone, and then they'll make themselves the victim, when it shouldn't be like that. You have to validate. You have to validate what people are saying, whether you agree or not. Like, you could say something to me, Crystal, hey, you did something the other day, and it hurt my feelings, and I can be like, what? How I hurt your feelings? Or I could say, well, what exactly did I do to hurt your feelings? And then you could tell me, and I could say, oh, I'm sorry. I apologize if I hurt your feelings. I didn't mean it that way. Or you can say, well, I kind of meant it that way, but I'm sorry if it hurt your feelings. You know what I mean? You just got to be honest, but you got to validate. Don't make somebody the victim because they tell you how they feel. I don't agree with that either. And also, guys, speaking on the matter of love, always remember, it's self-love first. You have to love yourself first before somebody else can love you. And I wish it could be somebody. Now, for me, I'll love you until you can love yourself. But everybody's not like that, okay? So you have to
That's
love yourself
right.
first. If you put it out there, you're going to get it back. If you're loving from a broken space, then you're going to attract that in your life. So always remember that. And guys, remember, um, you are welcome to sign up to be a guest on this podcast. Um, we appreciate Michaelyn coming and sharing her story of her obstacles and her struggles and her empowerment. And look, she's here today, looking good for 50. Okay, okay. No, I'm just joking. So,
Well, I'll be 50 in January. Don't put me
yeah,
there
50. I'm
yet. But
sorry,
thank you
50 in
anyway.
January. And I'm gonna give y'all a
I'm just
little
messing
quote
with you.
here. I meant to start with this quote. Transformation isn't about becoming someone else. It's about shedding the layers that no longer serve you to reveal who you truly are. And guys, that is it for today's thought-provoking talk with Crystal and Michaelyn. I hope today's episode gave you a new perspective and sparked some thoughts to explore further. And if you're ready to dig deep into your own journey, I got a special $5 offers on astrology readings and numerology insight, and it's over at the end of this month. So be wise and use your eyes and go to my website www.inspiredvibrations.com. Plus, I got some beautiful earrings to remind you that self-expression is a part of self-love. Be sure to check that out. Catch me on social media. We got YouTube channels, and you remember the Modern Astrology YouTube. If you want to know more, go check that out. And remember, your energy is expensive. Be mindful how you spend it, and protect your energy like the Secret Service protect the president, but not John F. K. And I advise everyone to have a good day. Thank you for listening. Namaste, my baby. I'll catch you on the next day.